This is the story of how I gave this little dinky, really badly painted black chair, as you can see by my face, and I gave it a totally new life for a friend of mine. So here's the before in all of its glory. It was painted in a very thick latex paint and a very bad paint job. So I first removed the sticker. I think it said 10 bucks on it. And I put on some gloves because it was about to get messy, baby. I used my Jasco Premium Paint and Epoxy Remover. This is my go-to paint remover. I let it sit for 15 minutes and boom, look at the bubbling up of this paint. This is exactly what you want the look to look for. It almost looks like just disgusting mold that's been raised. And as you can see, I scraped it off and oh no, there was another layer of white paint underneath. That's always the worst, is when you take off one layer and then you find another layer underneath. That is literally like worst case scenario, but it's okay. We move on. I did another coat. And if you haven't stripped before, here's what the paint looks like. It's actually so gross and so messy. This second coat did come off really nicely, and lo and behold, we struck wood, baby. Honestly, finding solid wood underneath layers and layers of paint is probably the most rewarding thing in the furniture flipping world. And if I am wrong, which I'm not wrong, you can tell me something else, but I swear to you, it's finding wood underneath paint. I promise. Anyways, this is the tool that I use. I think it's a 7-in-1 tool. It's just really good for scraping. And once I got most of the paint off, I then used a brass wire brush. Now I use brass because it doesn't change colors or tarnish the wood, so that's my go-to for getting into hard areas. And as I was cleaning around the emblem areas, it fell off. It literally just fell off. I mean, this stool's so old, so I can only imagine like the glue was just rotting away. So I took it off and I sanded down the entire thing completely smooth. I used a 120 grit and then a 150 grit and then a 220 grit, and look at that wood. Look at the wood. It really was a wooden fully stool, and this is just so rewarding. I was so happy with myself because the stripping literally took me 2 hours. So this is the outcome you want when you spend that much time on it. Anyways, moving on, I used my Dremel carving tool. This is a little carving head, and this is what I used to go into those little beveled areas, and that got the paint out of the crevices really nicely. And once that was done, I then went back over with a sanding disc on that same Dremel, and I went over all these curved edges and just removed some little pieces of paint that were left over. And I glued back on that beveled little design piece that fell off. And I used Titebond wood glue, which is very, very good, and some frog tape just to keep it in place. Next, my little trick is to use acetone and a cotton tip. And this is what I use to get paint out of those little wood knot areas. And it dries so quickly, as you can see. It just really, really helps you get paint into intricate and detailed spots. And this is just what I do for like little finishing touches. And then it dries right away. So moving on to the fun part. I chose a bone inlay stencil from Dixiebelle, and I think bone inlay is just gorgeous on raw wood because it gives it just that bohemian look. It's stunning, y'all. It's so stunning. So that was kind of my inspiration for this piece. I cut them all up and I used Dixiebelle chalk mineral paint. This is the shade Cotton. It's a beautiful soft white color. And I just used a sponge to stipple it on there. And when I peeled it back, the stencil looked really, really beautiful. And the thing about bone inlay is, yes, it's a pattern, but it's kind of like you can create your own pattern with using it. So once I did that, I did use some hand detailed areas and painted some more on. And then I sealed the entire stool with How Do You Do hemp oil. Hemp oil is so great for a raw wood finish. And y'all, here's the before, and this is the after. I'm just so proud of myself for this project, and it turned out stunning, y'all. I love it, and it just goes to show what a little stripping and some paint can do.